Hey everybody, so in this video I have back with Funky Blues, and as we start to do more things with him and we start to engage his body and his mind and get those in sync with each other to make him more confident and to make him feel like he understands how to use his own body, we start to add I guess speed to those things. So what does that mean? Is that motion creates emotion. So we look at a couple things like cortisol levels on a horse. We look at serotonin levels on a horse. We look at dopamine release on a horse. And what does that all mean? Well, just like in humans, is that if he's worried about something, the cortisol levels are going to come up and he's going to be anxious, and then his brain is not going to be where it needs to be. Just like somebody who is anxious, if someone is experiencing anxiety, there's a portion of them that's not able to focus, and I'm sure we've all been there, not able to focus on the things that are important to relax us and to get through some of the things in our day. So same thing with our horse. So as the past videos, we've talked about doing some lateral work with him. Now we're starting to put some of those things together. The importance of getting the hind end and the front end to move together, or to move independently so they can move together, and then getting them to move opposite directions, and then also getting them to move start to going into the trot, and what I would consider how I would, like, quotes, lunge a horse, but it's really getting the horse to start to use themselves in a way that's going to benefit them without injury and start to help them develop self-carriage. So I have Blue here. So first thing I'm going to do with him is I'm going to go, I wonder how his lateral work is bringing him out here. So I'm going to ask him if he'll just move over for me. And how light is that? And how fluid is it? Good, so that wasn't too bad. So I might ask him then to just come back the other direction and go, how are you feeling this way? Good, that felt pretty good. Now I might just ask him to roll the front end across. He reaches real good with that right front. Might ask him to roll the hind end back under, and then roll that front across. See how he stepped backwards, and then so he could really reach with that front left? That is super important. We need to keep the horse's pole relaxed, their cervical vertebrae relaxed, all the muscles surrounding those vertebrae, in order so the shoulders can be open and he can use himself correctly. So I'm going to ask him just to start to go into a trot now. So I'm going to open the door here. So as we start to go into different gears, I want to, and so we've got a buggy coming around on the other side, and so he caught that, and those are things that I look for, is how fast can he regulate and go, I don't need to be worried about that very quickly. So as we start to, in a horse, we start to increase motion, we get emotion. We want that emotion to still stay relaxed. We want them to know that they can move forward and be relaxed, which is something totally against everything that they do in life. Whenever they run, even if they're playing with each other in the field, you'll notice the heads are up and the backs are inverted and they're tight. That's all they know. So what we want to do is teach them that they can move forward in 3 speeds in each gait and be relaxed doing it, but still have the power that they need to. So I'm going to ask him just to come off here. I'm going to open that door. I'm going to come in with where my leg would be as the calf and ask him to pick up the trot. And I'm going to walk with him, because I want him to have that self-carriage. See how he's not pulling on that line at all? See how he's going around me? So I want him to find relaxation in this, and you can see, good boy. So I'll let him come back to the walk. Very important for me to get him to start to just understand that he can stay with me and he can use his body correctly when we do that. So I'm going to ask that again. So I'm going to pick up the door here. That means, hey, I want you to go through this door. I'm going to say, hey, let's trot, buddy. I'm going to start using voice commands now. So let's trot. I want him to carry this trot. So if he is changing the speeds in the trot, it's because he has other things that he's focused on, and he doesn't feel that he really knows what our direction is to stay in that trot. So this is very important. It's not about just go, 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 go. It's about teaching him that he can carry himself in 3 speeds in each gait going forward. And when he does that, he can do it relaxed and using the proper muscles to maintain strength, maintain stability, and find his balance. So we've got 2 things that are going on right now. Is that one thing is he's he still looks at other things and he's like, okay, this is new for me. And then he's going, I don't really know where my feet are that well, so it's going to be hard for me to stay in a consistent speed, to stay rhythmic while he's doing this, because he is trying to figure out where his feet are. So we're going to ask that again. So I'm just going to be a guide here for him. So I'm going to open that door. I'm just going to say, hey, I'm here with you. I'm going to go with you around this circle, putting my flag where my calf would be. And then if I say, wow, that was really good, buddy, come back to a neutral position, have him stop and face me. Now we're going to come back up here closer to the camera. So if you watch that, really important, because you saw he had a drape in the lead line going around me. I'm going to walk with him as I do this because I want him to feel more confident as he goes around and does these things. So when you have a horse that might be a little spooky at outside things and things like that, it's because a lot of times it's because their brain is like, they just don't know how to use themselves, don't have confidence in themselves, so then it gets them a little nervous. So we work through that in many different ways. So we're going to ask him now to rock back, step across to the right, go around me, pick up the trot on this side, trot. Good boy. Come in, ask him to face me, draw him into me. So I'm going to ask him to come over this way now. Good boy. So if you'll notice, I am on probably about a 5 meter circle, 4 or 5 meter circle. And here is the key to all of this when you're working with your horses, doing anything around you. It doesn't matter if the circle is 30 meters, if it's huge. If the horse is running around that circle and they're grabbing on the end of your line and their nose is pointed out, if their nose is pointed out, their body is facing like a motorcycle, which means they're putting a tremendous amount of strain on the inside shoulder and the collateral ligaments. If they're putting strain on the inside shoulder and the collateral ligaments, you potentially do damage. If I have a horse like him, and you can go back and watch the replay on that, and he's 4 or 5 meters around me, but he's balanced, you can see it in his impulsion, and he's not leaning at all as he comes towards the camera, and he's got the correct bend. So biomechanically, we are using his body in the way that it was the most efficiently designed to do. Take that into account. Some people say, well, you can't do small circles with a horse. Well, you can do the smallest circle if you want with a horse, as long as they're balanced. It doesn't matter if you do the largest circle in the world. If they're out of balance and they're loading on the inside, front and behind, they're going to be doing damage to their body. Remember that and think about that every time you hook up a lunge line to your horse and you want them to go around you. If they can't go around you in self-carriage, and I'm going to show you again, self-carriage is the horse is carrying himself around me, with me just guiding him, not holding him up. So I'm going to ask him to go around me. So I'm going to ask for the trot. So I'm going to say, hey, let's trot, bud. I'm going to go with you. So you work around me. Good boy, back to the walk. And have him stop and face me. So that's super important. If you watch that video, you can see as we're developing things with him, and he's only 2.5 years old. So we've got really, actually, we've probably about, I think he's got probably about another 7 or 8 months till he's ready to be ridden. Is that we are setting him up for success, to find his own balance. When I ask him to step across, you see how he opened that shoulder up? That's him using his hind end, balancing off of his body. So see how that left front is in the front right now, which it would be, if you're watching this, his, your right front, his left front. He is loading the right front. So if I want him to turn off the right, I want him to step back with the left front and then open up that right shoulder. So I'm going to try and do this without being in the camera. So I'm going to ask him to not do that. I'm going to ask him to take a step back and then roll across the front end. As you watch me do this dance with him, I want him to understand where to put his feet. So I want him to step under and forward with the hind end. And then I want him to be able to rock across, step under, and rock across, really open up the freedom of that shoulder. So as we work on this with him, it's super important that you guys remember at home, if you're working with a young horse or even an older horse and you're doing groundwork, is that we do all this energetically. What does that mean? That we do it all with energy first. So I've been working with him on deconstructing his body so the pole is good, the neck is relaxed, work on the front and work on the hind end. And in that way, if I want him to move laterally, I can get him to move laterally pretty easily. So now the next thing that we look at is, can I take my energetic pressure and ask with direct physical contact? So what I'm going to try to do with him is put my hand where my calf would be, slightly bend him into the left, and ask him if he can do the same thing. So he took one step and he got stuck, right? So it's bridging that gap. The reason why I put down my flag was because I wanted to show you that I could have him going great with energetic pressure, but if I don't bridge the gap, because horses typically don't ever want to have physical pressure because that means they're usually getting chomped on by somebody, is that we want to make sure that we bridge that gap. So what I'll do is I'll take my flag, I'll put my hand where my calf would be, and I'll use my flag in conjunction with my hand. So as you can see, that as soon as we start to put pressure on him, physical pressure, it's different for him. So I'm going to come back here. I'm going to bring my energy back down. Good boy. Put my hand where my calf would be, and then ask him if he can just move over. Good boy. That was wonderful. So as you can see, in just the last week, he's come a long way from the energetic to the, or from just moving laterally and generally and using his body better. So I'm going to ask this way again. So I'll bring my flag in. Ask him to, good, 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 good. Ask more, good, good. So now what I'm going to try and do is I'm going to try and put my flag away and see if what he has learned, if I connected the dots from the energetic pressure, which is energy, to physical pressure. So he's licking and chewing. I love that. So now I'm going to put my hand right where my calf would be. Ask him to move over. Good. That was amazing. That was light. I want to be able to have my calf on him, draped over him, but if I put any pressure on my calf at all that's different from just draping over him, that he knows that that's a response to move. So now this is his harder side, so we're going to try this side here. And I'm just going to say, hey buddy, so I want to set him up for success. Over, 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 over. Good boy. So as you can see going that direction, what I did was he got a little sticky when we wanted both front end and hind end to work together. So I started with what he knew, which was let's move the front end and let's move the hind end a little bit. Let's move the front end and let's start to get them to work together. It's no different than asking little Johnny what 3 plus 3 is if he knows how to count to 6. So if Johnny doesn't know what 3 plus 3 is, but he knows how to count to 6, I can go, oh, hey, count those 3 on the front hand and count them on the right hand and the left hand, which would be the front of the horse and the back of the horse. I'm going to go, hey, Funky Blues, what's 3 plus 3? And he goes, oh, I don't know. Well, let me move the front end over first. Hey, 3 plus 3, let's move the hind end. Now we have 6. So we just got 3 plus 3 equals 6. Go back to him on this way. Hey buddy, how's it going? Let's move over. Let's do this. Let's do the front end first. So let's go front end and then the hind end. Front end, hind end, front end, hind end. Good. So we're setting our horse up for success when we do that. So I hope you guys have enjoyed watching this video, and as we continue to blossom with Funky Blues, he's a really cool horse and he's a really smart learner, and this is going to set him up for success for the rest of his life and his career. Thank you guys so much for watching.